Hey guys, it's Julesy, and welcome back to another critical conversation that intersects pop culture and political history. Hope you all are staying safe, very safe, insane. Please be staying sane in these difficult times. So let's have another discussion because, baby, class of 2020, you are still in my prayers. We're gonna have another discussion about the platform of the youth. I'm a big fan and I love TikTok. And until recently, I never saw, maybe when I first opened the app, but I never saw Charlie D'Amelio TikTok pop up on my timeline. My timeline is full of black babies doing cute things with daddies, mamas, and siblings. It was all my black influencer faves doing the latest dance, so much exploration into various indigenous cultures. The youth's impeccably done comedic commentating on being raised by black parents because I too love to laugh at the trauma. What else can you do? I mean, you could go to therapy, but yes, comedy works.
So you said you depressed?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. Like, I haven't been feeling myself lately.
Get in there and go depress them dishes.
I generally have a beautiful range of diversity on my timeline.
Dirty South. Uh-huh.
Now, every now and again, outrage does and will tip over onto the TL about the problematic trends that are popping off in another ether, in another world. But I was so happy, and I'm genuinely am so happy to see that the kids are kind of all right and educating their audience via these moments and easy to consume TikToks. Well, at least in the slice of TikTok that I've curated on my timeline. Now, one of these days, I will successfully learn a TikTok dance, and then that will be my first post on TikTok. But in the meantime, I was absolutely elated when Taylor Lorenz, who I typically read in The Atlantic, and I've definitely critiqued on how she centers white influencers. She talks a lot about pop culture, social media influencers, but I have critiqued her on her centering white influencers in her past pieces. But she very recently did a write-up for the New York Times on the original creator of the Renegade Dance, a 14-year-old black girl from Fayetteville, Georgia, Jalea. I probably should have definitely looked up the correct pronunciation of her name. Jalea Harmon. And yes, everything about Jalea's story and the rise and the co-opting of the viral dance that she created is absolutely flowing with the historical context of racism, cultural homogenization, and appropriation. Sounds like a recent video. Go watch that too. And the consumption overall of black culture. It was wonderful though to watch the black internet rally behind Jalea and for her to get the shine in a very big way with the New York Times piece detailing how her innovation was co-opted. This is a rarity, unusual, but a beautiful moment I wish wasn't so damn rare. And I now would like us to dig into how this is a really good example of how systemic racism works. And it's not simply that a young white girl named Charlie would become popular or at least synonymously known and showered with a bevy of monetary opportunities from a dance that a 14-year-old black girl created without ever even crediting said 14-year-old black girl.
I taught my sister how to do renegade, so you can learn.
But there is an entire infrastructure that benefits Charlie and her family, while that same infrastructure ensures young black children like Jalea may be the innovators, but without the stealth of a white hand pulling them up, they will not be the ones who benefit from their innovation. Charlie was primed to become a social media star because her parents had the means to leverage her visibility, not simply through wealth, but through privileged access. Her father, Mark D'Amelio, owns a fashion showroom that works closely with major athletic brands such as Mitchell & Ness, a Philadelphia brand that, though they are white-owned, has a strong urban connotation. And one of the biggest stumbling blocks for influencers is how to ensure that sponsorships are mutually beneficial past a one-time check and ensuring that you get paid an equitable rate. A lot of us have a very hard time finding and affording entertainment lawyers that understand our industry and keep us protected, and managers who can properly negotiate. And then we end up underselling ourselves and not being able to really benefit from the opportunities in the same way that a Charlie does with the access her father has. So it's not just that Charlie presents as a white girl that is a privilege. There are all these other small checks of privileges that ensure she can be the darling star of TikTok. Her father has the branding background, access to brands, as some of Charlie's first brand deals were via her father's connections, and that visibility heightens your value when you can say you've worked with XYZ. Her trained competitive dance background that her parents could both afford and had the time to commit to facilitating their daughter made it to practices and national competitions, access to lawyers, managers, and the ability that a parent was seen as a regarded business person who could approach and negotiate with these brands in the first place. Now, this might not connect if you don't live in the influencer world, but the brands can be very undermining to influencers. And if they don't believe you had that you have a credible team, they can be just as dismissive to the people working with and for you. Converse to the privilege and access that Charlie has. Most of the innovators on TikTok are almost always Black and brown kids who, like Jalea prior to the New York Times article, reach no rewards or benefits from their innovation. After creating the Renegade dance and seeing it go viral, when Jalea went to her mom didn't have the means to leverage her daughter's creativity to turn her into a profitable influencer. Her mother didn't even know where to begin. And so when I say all these small ticks of privilege that feed into the larger white privilege that surrounds Charlie, her sister, and then that blonde girl, who are all three of them are almost always the top TikToks that show up for an entire page until you hit that one Asian girl. When you click on an original sound that is trending on TikTok, I mean, do y'all know what I'm talking about? But when I say the small ticks of privilege that feed into the larger white audience, because it is all the streams that lead into that privilege. It is access to quality education, economic means to launch a business and provide for an active family. Because, as I always say, we are all one medical emergency away from poverty. So please don't think starting a business that provides for your family is simply about turning a decent profit. Then, of course, we have the white gaze and the way we view white people doing things that Black people do all the time. Means to retain your intellectual property and have a good lawyer who understands an emerging market. It's all them small ticks. It's so many things. All those privileges. And although I can keep my Explore page diverse and mediocre whiteness minimized, the race problem on TikTok is pretty glaring. For all the times Charlie was booked for an event and asked to perform and even teach others the Renegade dance without any mention of Jalea, my brow absolutely furrowed when Jalea endearingly tagged Charlie posting New York Times piece. And when I see these young Black kids who make videos in defense of Charlie, even though her page is pretty white, and her peers' commitment to maintaining that whiteness was no clearer than when Charlie's parents pulled together the Hype House, a house of top TikTok influencers. Baby, the whiteness could not be more overstated.
Where's the flavor? Where's the flavor in this? I don't taste anything. I don't taste sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, milk, nothing.
Now, this goes back to my earlier point. The means and access of Charlie's parents to even facilitate and find funding for a project like this, where the TikTokers of color had to put together their own University of Diversity until Rihanna showed up and plucked up a few diverse influencers to form the Fenty House of Beauty. Think about the means and access required to do things like this. Now, we can move past Charlie because the other glaring race problems on TikTok are often how white kids use their proximity to Blackness to up their social currency.
Ayo,
the snow bunny check-in for white girls who have a bunch of Black guy friends, the white girl with the Black boyfriend, the white boys who fetishize women of color. This is part of what I talked about in my Billie Eilish video. So for Generation Z, the are children of the internet, the default is almost always Black culture. Then you couple that with the social currency that was popularized by the Kardashian clan, or the Kardashian-Jenner clan. And proximity to Blackness is profitable. Being Black, not so much. And then there's this weird amalgamation of Black kids in Europe co-opting Black American culture. I think that might be a whole nother video on its own. But they're co-opting Black American culture as like a parody. You know, I enjoyed, I'm in the ghetto, ra-ta-ta-ta.
I'm in the ghetto. Ra-ta-ta-ta. Ra-ta-ta-ta.
But nigga, you're Somalian living in Norway. I am low-key jealous because Norwegian healthcare and social services do not sleep on it. But what's this I'm a nigga in the cotton fields meme about? There's a lot of parodying of black women on every app, and TikTok is absolutely no better. But this is the age of the internet, and this is what the youths know and what they're gonna have to grapple and deal with. Here, I was trying to make a point about how you land with some of TikTok's most problematic trends. You see this with the proliferation of music and dances that seem to lift the white kids to higher visibility, fame, and wealth than any of their black counterparts. And how much of it is the algorithm? How much of it is all these small ticks of privilege that undergird all these little white kids? And how much of it is how we consume the internet and where our gaze lands? I would love to know your thoughts respectfully, and thank you all for watching. For more exclusive content, head over to my Patreon and help support the SBG Book Club, the projects I have lined up for 2020, and my ability to do videos like this without having to hit you over the head with a sponsorship. Thank y'all. Deuces.
It's always the girls with no lips that like to talk the most shite. Hey! Yeah, I honestly don't even know I should be quiet. If you can't pucker your lips, you can't talk no nonsense.